I'd like to do another video on Anakin Skywalker's character arc. Now, over the years, I've thought of this story of Anakin Skywalker. It's going to be clear here. The elements that were laid out in the prequels were interesting elements. Had a few more elements and maybe a few tweaks in the character been changed. In my version of Anakin Skywalker in the prequels, Anakin Skywalker is a teenager, meaning he'd be more relatable to an older demographic. And like I said, if he's in Mos Eisley's, which Obi-Wan described in A New Hope as a hellhole, then show how brutal Mos Eisley is for Anakin. Show Anakin as a guy who is kind of scarred, whose mentality is, I gotta fight, I gotta be mean, I gotta be aggressive in order to defend myself. So, maybe also show, like, Wadu abusing Shmi Skywalker, like, whipping her, torturing her, maybe him bitch slapping Anakin, and being this real scumball of a character, you know, and showing how Anakin really wants to beat him up, but he would be conflicted about it, because if he tried to kill Wadu, then Wadu would kill him, maybe causing his mother great psychological damage. And he also is worried about doing the work, because if he doesn't, his mother will get severely tortured. And he would be very close with his mother. You would see this mother-son relationship. She wants to give Anakin as good of a life as she can. Then we meet. So this would be the introduction to Anakin. In Mos Eisley, a couple of pan shots. Actually, yeah. Like, you'd obviously see some action in the beginning, like some intense shit going on. But you would mostly see Tatooine, it would cut. I think it would start out like the thing where Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are bantering. You would meet Obi-Wan a little bit, and Qui-Gon would say, Obi-Wan would say, Master, I think I should go to get this part. And I would think Obi-Wan would be a little more reckless than Qui-Gon. Because my major problem with Qui-Gon as a character, some people say he was useless. I kind of tend to agree with that in some ways, because what Qui-Gon really should have been was kind of maybe a little bit defying of the code, but mostly strict, mostly disciplined, representing or trying to get Obi-Wan to shape. Maybe make Obi-Wan the defiant one. Like, he finds Anakin. He senses there's greatness in Anakin. He doesn't tell him, they're just, like, casually talking. Like Obi-Wan and Anakin sitting down, having a drink. Obi-Wan would be saying something along the lines of, you really want to be doing this your whole life? Anakin would say, Jedi, right? Let me guess, you were basically handed everything. Went through a couple of little trials. Trials were done. You got your stupid little lightsaber. You went off on some adventures, huh? Maybe Anakin would be described, like, that would be the dialogue. Obi-Wan would be describing what being a Jedi is. Maybe show Anakin like a thrill seeker, always looking for a thrill, like doing all this dangerous stuff, like, show him as a builder, show him as a guy who would build his pottery, show him as like a crazy son of a bitch, but angry too, like he does these dangerous fucking things to release his anger. And Anakin would say to Obi-Wan would say, so, I've heard you're a pretty good pilot. Best damn one there is. Prove it. And like, you want to bet? Want to bet, Jedi? Maybe Obi-Wan would say something like, why not? Gives him a blindfold. Wait, Anakin would look at him like, are you crazy? Blindfolded? Like going through a makeshift training camp like he did with Luke. Not exactly copying it, but like verifying it. Like saying, well, you did say you were the best, prove it. And you would see Anakin like go into this state. Like, have you ever seen like where you read like Daredevil comics, where Matt Murdock has this sense thing, where like all his other senses are like his eyes. Maybe show Anakin a POV from that part of Anakin, you know. So then obviously Obi-Wan frees Anakin, you know. He frees his mother, but his mother's like, Anakin, I belong here. I'm gonna try to make a life for myself, you know. It's like he would be a teenager, and Anakin would still be pretty close, saying, I can't leave you. I'm not gonna leave you here. And her mindset would be, look, I'm a working woman. I'm going to work. I'm going to do my best, you know, to provide for myself. You're doing it. I'm still going to do it. Like, doesn't free her yet. Well, yeah, actually, I'm debating between the Obi-Wan freeing her and Anakin freeing her. Like, I actually kind of been thinking that the Anakin freeing her a few years later after his training would be a little bit more tragic later on in the story. So, what happens is they go to Naboo to the final battle. And the Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul thing happens, except throne room thing is there, the Gungan shit is cut out, you know. But the fight, the Starfighter thing is where the action takes place. Like the major action, showing how much of a badass Anakin is. Like, yeah, he's a kid, yeah, he's like a 17-year-old, but he's still a legit badass. Like Obi-Wan would say, Anakin, stay in the cockpit, now! Don't move, don't do a goddamn thing. Sees the droid cars come out, and it wouldn't be like some accidental thing like, oh, oops, wrong thingy, derp. No, even look at these droid cars, like, and see Padme, maybe kindle, maybe see like Anakin's got a little crush on Padme, like, stay here my ass, and just waste the freaking droids. You know, like, bam, bam, flies up into space, just takes the freaking lead. And they're like, who the hell are you, you little punk? It's like, do you want to argue, or do you want to take these guys down? You know, showing how Anakin's like just this aggressive guy who wants to... And you would start to see that Anakin may not... It's not told, it wouldn't be told he's the chosen one, he's destined for greatness. But it would be shown that Anakin is a damn good pilot. An example of how you can show he's a damn good pilot. Just trusting on his instincts, which is what he would have been doing throughout his training on Tatooine. Now, I mean, not training, like his, like how he's been raised on Mos Eisley's. You know, all his life, he would just be going on his instinct, doing what his gut said. You know, after he would blow up the ship, obviously the events in the final duels would still take place, except one major difference. Darth Maul lives. He lives. He's the villain throughout the entire prequel trilogy. Obi-Wan really, like, Qui-Gon is dying. Obi-Wan wants to murder this motherfucker. He wants to choke him out. Obi-Wan's about to run. Qui-Gon grabs him. And he says, if you want to honor my memory, you will train this boy. If you think this boy is the chosen one, if you truly believe it, train him as I have trained you. Do not seek vengeance upon Darth Maul. And he would say, because if you do, it will translate to Anakin starting and lead him down the dark path. Obi-Wan would be so conflicted. And Qui-Gon would just be saying as a dying word, you want to honor me? Then let it go in the end. See Darth Maul reporting to Sidious saying, job well done, Lord Maul. The seeds have been planted. Now it is time to leave, perhaps. Or something like that. So that would be episode 1. Obviously my version is a lot more darker, but I think it would be essential. Episode 2 would be Obi-Wan and Anakin, you know, growing up. It would be showing Anakin training. Showing Anakin becoming more disciplined. Showing Anakin train. It would basically be the movie where you see Anakin learn. Anakin grow up. Anakin start to mature. Like, you start to see more elements of the character than just the, oh, fuck everything up, and man, fuck you like that, you know? Besides that, you would see Anakin just mature. You would see him start to learn the Jedi code, like really respect and honor it. And he would respect Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan freed him in this version. So they would have this brother-like relationship. And you would also see that maybe perhaps Obi-Wan is a little bit too neglective of the council, is too much trusting of his own instincts rather than listening to the council, taking the elements of Qui-Gon Jinn's character and putting it more into Obi-Wan. Maybe showing Obi-Wan being slightly reckless, though maturing as well throughout this film. And Anakin would obviously go through his trials, many things. Then all of a sudden, this is where the Separatists and the clone and the wars come in. Droids non-existent in my version. Well, actually, droids would happen, but the after the battle of Naboo, the Separatists would be saying like, "Yo, these droids are shit. They're junk. They're useless." Dooku would be I would make Dooku very much like this conniving villain, like an asshole. Like saying like, look, if you look, I know you have some doubts in Sidious. Like maybe making Kamino the guys that clone it. They make the clones for the villains. And having the Republic make a draft that all able-bodied men at the age of 16 to 20, or even older, are required to join. All Jedi Padawans and younglings and masters are drafted and recruited, showing how Anakin's like, kind of excited at first, like nervous but a little excited, and so is Obi-Wan, looking for that good adventure. Then you would see this war is hell. And then you would start to see Anakin age more. Like, it's kind of where episode 3, my version, would be an epic. It would be, like, really fucking long, my version. Because you would start to see layers of Anakin. Like, Anakin aging. Like, the war has shown. What has happened throughout the Clone Wars has affected Anakin. He's not the cocky kid anymore. He's a serious general, willing to die for his men, no matter what the cause, being the noble warrior, always wanting to get his men out of these dangerous situations in any way he can, even if it defies the Jedi code a little bit. He's willing to do whatever he thinks is necessary in the moment. So what would Anakin's breaking point be? Introduction to General Grievous. Anakin and his group of younglings are all ambushed, along with a few recruits of the Republic Army. Ambushed by the clones. They rip the clones, they knock all the Jedi Padawans and Anakin out, take him to this thing. Grievous would still have some of the lines he had from Revenge of the Sith, like, or not necessarily like, Grievous would say, "So, Skywalker, so you're the Jedi who's been causing all this trouble for my men. For someone of your reputation, I expected someone to be in much more better shape." You'd be like, "General Grievous, I expected someone to be a little less ugly and a little taller." Like Grievous saying, "Ah, the great Skywalker wit that I've heard of. Quite amusing to the last." Saying something along the lines of that. But Anakin taunting Grievous. Grievous finally loses his shit. Pulls out his blaster. Oh yeah, if I forgot to mention this, which I probably did. The reason why the Jedi wouldn't be able to use the Force is because they'd be restrained by these things that would hurt them every time they tried to use the Force. That would really, the Force lightning in the Star Wars movies? Well, that would really be painful for them. But Grievous is just like, fuck that shit. If you are going to not give me the information, I will shoot every Padawan in the head and make you watch. And if you taunt me even more, they all suffer. Anakin he can't take it. He's not, and keep in mind, these are kids. These are like 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, preteen kids thrown into this fucking war. Basically about to be executed and slaughtered. You know, right in front of him. So, what this would do is put you in that situation like, would I give up immediately? I think many of you probably would. Anakin's like, okay, I'll tell you. We're trying to deceive him a little bit. Grievous would say, thank you, Skywalker. Just does it anyway. Anakin just screams, no! Like, you bastard, I will kill you. They electrocute him even more, and Grievous is just enjoying it. Enjoying it. Like, Grievous would just be like, saying, now, I will be the one in the Separatist ranks that was the one who broke the great Anakin Skywalker. Later on, you would see Anakin, like, tortured, beaten, broken, pretty much, angry, vengeful, loses his shit. You know that Force Blast and the Force Unleashed? You'd see Anakin use a breakout escape. And on the planet where the military base was, where Grievous is, the planet would be where the climates would fluctuate extremely. Very dangerous climate. Climate in this planet, whatever the hell it would be. I haven't thought of a name for it yet. So what he would do is he would just, you know, if you've ever seen the movie Predator, Grievous would be angry. He'd be like, how did he escape? And it's like, well, sir, you see, we decapitates the motherfucker, and it's like, no excuses. Like, you would see both guys, both Grievous and Anakin, preparing to, like, kill each other. But Anakin would be on the run. Anakin would, like, start to lose it. He'd be emotionally damaged and stressed, yelling, like, hyperventilating, like, angry that that the blood of those children are on his hands. That he couldn't do shit to stop Grievous. So he gets prepared. There would be a broken, damaged gunship with a bunch of military weapons in. This would just be where Anakin just gets warrior. He uses his Jedi training and his street smarts from the last film, from episode 1, to basically get ready for war. He's gonna fuck Grievous up. He's gonna do whatever the hell it takes. You would also start to see Anakin make a makeshift lightsaber, because Grievous obviously stole his and claimed it as a trophy. So, it would be out of blasters. And you might think, well, isn't that kind of stupid? Wouldn't that be impractical? Well, you'll start to see why that would be pretty smart of Anakin to do. See, what Anakin does, this version anyway, just goes full commando. He goes full commando. He's ready to fight Grievous to the death. Grievous has got some, infrared thermal thing on, like searching for him, knowing where he is. Anakin hides all his weapons in this very cold environment. Like I said, the planet thing would fluctuate, so it would be pretty hot or pretty cold, I haven't decided which. They just fight to the death. It would be Anakin being stealth, shooting Grievous, confusing the hell out of him, throwing bombs everywhere, shooting him. When he's done with one gun, uses the other guns. Then finally, when he's out of ammo completely on all the weapons he's used, finally takes out the lightsaber. They get into a really intense lightsaber duel, where Anakin's like worried. And this lightsaber is unstable. It is sparking. It's not really meant. It was meant for a temporary use, for self-defense when necessary. And it's like, you're just like, your intellect amazes me, Skywalker. But I guess you weren't smart enough to make your little lightsaber stable. Then, after they get into this intense fight, Anakin cuts off a couple of Grievous' hands. Grievous has enough. he just fucking loses it. Punches Anakin, throws him to the ground, chokes him, spins his hand a little bit with one of the lightsabers, cuts off Anakin's hand while he's choking him. He's like, "And now, young Skywalker, you will suffer worse than your men ever did." Uses his good hand to use the Force. The makeshift lightsaber is out of his hand. It's been knocked out. It's sparking. It's about to explode. It's extremely hot. Like we're talking about, like a very hot car engine. Anakin uses the Force, rams it into Grievous's guts, and just drop kicks him. And afterwards, this would be just a story of how Anakin struggles, how Anakin thinks as a human being, what his mentality is, like why he does the things he does. It would be a story about Anakin just looking, but also struggling because he's lost his hand, like showing his resourcefulness, showing how much of a resourceful man he is, like as a Jedi, showing that he's trying to heal his hand. Obi-Wan would also be looking for Anakin too. And then when he finally gets some signal that Anakin may be alive, and after you lose, your army's a bunch of kids, they're dead, you got into a very intense fight like that, you're gonna be a little bit fucked up. The Republic troops come down, searching for Anakin. Anakin's going all commando, militant, lone wolf. Grabs the clone troopers, about to fucking stab him, because he's lost his shit. He's like, "Sector, who do you work for? Which side? Tell me, now!" And the clone troopers freaking out like, "Help! Someone help!" Obi-Wan pulls out his lightsaber, Anakin snaps out of it. Looks to Obi-Wan, just bursts into tears. Like his regret, his anger with himself, that he couldn't save those children. That at last he found a place to belong, and yet, after all that training, after all that work, he still just couldn't save these children from this monster. Even though Grievous is dead, it would just haunt Anakin for the rest of his life in this story. And they would be discussing like Anakin's mental stability at this point in the movie. Like, Obi-Wan would still be advocating for Anakin, like saying, "Look, I know Anakin's been through some rough shit, but he's proven," and Mace Windu would just shut Obi-Wan up and be like, "Your apprentice has been through something something that no Jedi should go through. And his mental stability is very questionable at this point." Maybe they would just let him. And Yoda would just say, "We must start the training now. The Chosen One trials." Which would be a series of 9 trials. And it would also be like Chancellor Palpatine would be like awarding Anakin, saying how great he was, how resilient he was. Also talking about the Sith a little bit and how interesting the history is. Anakin is crazy, but he's not totally crazy. But he's like, "Chancellor, how do you know this much information about the Sith?" Bullshit. And say, "Well, Anakin, since I've had these emergency powers, I've requested access to some very strict classified documents within the Jedi archives about the Sith and the Sith legends." And he would demand that he's shown this. He'd show him. He'd just willingly show him, like, "I got nothing to hide." Like, be honest with Anakin. "Look, here are the documents. Not doctrine, not anything." Anakin would trust Palpatine enough, But Anakin would be, like, then the trials would start. Where you would see, like, this Force battle. Like, this mental fight between, like, Anakin and Yoda just trying his best to get Anakin to just let it go. To let go of his pain. And Anakin would just be like, I can't do it. And he's like, you must, Anakin, you must, and you will. He's like, I can't. And you would just see this intense mental battle where this meditation room is kind of getting messed up because the mental battle would be so intense. And then, of course, the other trials would go through. And Anakin's going back to his sane self again. He's going back to normal a little bit. He goes to Palpatine. He says, I have seen, like, you gave me this reward, this medal. All I'm asking for is that you end this horrible war. If I forgot to mention this. Oh yeah, and then Palpatine would start to say, I have no real power. And if I'm correct, don't you have a wife? I thought I'd be shocked. Excuse me, Chancellor? Come on, Anakin. Let's stop hiding. You fear losing her, just as you fear losing your mother. And if I forgot, you know, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. I'm sorry I'm backtracking. In this version, Anakin is rewarded this great medal. He goes back to Tatooine to just go to his mom. Finds out his mom isn't in this wealthier part of Tatooine that she said she would be in. He's furious. He starts to choke water with the robot hand like, you son of a bitch. Tell me where my mother is or I will rip your head off. Tell me now. And he's like, I don't know. And Water's freaking out. He's trying to kill Anakin. It's like, kill or be killed most likely. Breaks him and he's like, tell me, you son of a bitch. You know, not like that, but he would just say, I don't know. And Anakin would just start to use his feelings that he's telling the truth. Lets him go. Finds out his mother was taken by Tusken Raiders. Goes on to find her. She's dying. She's dead. His PTSD from the war is sinking in. He flashes back to a battle between these clones, these separatist clones, and his men being killed. And he flashes back and he just goes warrior mode. Ah! And he just starts slashing Tusken Raider men, women, and children. Not knowing, not giving a shit at that stage because he's going crazy. He doesn't know. This is how brutal it gets. He would stab a Tusken Raider mother defending her child. Snaps out of it. He sees all these dead Tusken Raiders like, huh? Being disgusted with himself. Going to Tatooine. And Padme and Anakin would have a very close relationship. I'll probably address the love story in some other part of this video. Some other video. And Padme would say, like, Anakin would be so angry. He's like, I killed a mother defending her child from me, just as my mother would have shielded me from Watto's whip. He's about to kill himself, but he can't take it. He can't take the loss. He can't take the war. He can't take the pain, the memories. Padme rushes and almost breaks Anakin's hand to get him to drop the gun. Because she loves him. She doesn't want him to go through this. She's like, you'll get through this. Anakin, you're stronger than you realize. You know, Anakin would be like, I can't. Now going back to the Chosen One trials. The trials would mainly just be focusing on Anakin learning, becoming the savior, accepting the Jedi Code more. And he would say, like, Master, I think I'm well trained enough to where I can talk to the Chancellor. Chancellor's starting to manipulate him a little bit. He goes in and says, I want you to end this war. And then he starts bullshitting, saying, well, Anakin, the Separatists are working with some of these senators that stop my progress. I mean, I don't have truly absolute power. Anakin would just start to be calling bullshit. Then Palpatine's being an asshole. telling him in great detail about Grievous and Count Dooku and Darth Maul. You know, like in my version, Anakin's the one that killed Darth Maul. Saying like, don't you wish you were able to save those children from Grievous, as you did with Obi-Wan and Maul? You see, Anakin, I only instruct them on what to do, on what their mission is. I can't control on how they do it. Their methods of doing it is far out of my control, Anakin, you must understand. Grabs his head, screams in agony. Like, end it! Do whatever, I will serve you, I will do whatever you wish. Just make the pain stop. Make it go away. Help me save Padme. Anakin would basically say, Padme is the only thing keeping me sane. She's my last bit of humanity. And then, of course, the Vader things start to come and kills the Separatists. Some events play out like they did in Episode 3. Except this, Anakin doesn't choke Padme. Obi-Wan's protecting Padme from Anakin. He's like, you will hurt her. I will kill you if you do not step out of my way, Obi-Wan. Anakin walks away from Obi-Wan, stands and says, this is the right thing to do. This is honoring them. Honoring the people I couldn't save. And Obi-Wan would just say this, your mother would be disgusted with what you become, just as I am. Anakin snaps. Starts slashing at Obi-Wan to just kill him. Obviously the epic duel insists. And Anakin starts to snap out of it. Looks at what he's done. His life. Like he can't deal with it anymore. There's no Padme to prevent him from doing it this time. Anakin still has his lightsaber. Throws it at Obi-Wan. Uses the Force and grabs a gun. Points it at his head. Starts crying. Don't tell him, he says. Don't tell him who I am. Do not tell him anything about me, Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's like, Anakin, you're going to get through this. He's like, it's too late, Master. There's nothing left for me to live for. Obi-Wan loves Anakin like if he were his little brother or if he were his son. He's so attached to Anakin that he can't deal with him dying or losing him. And Obi-Wan uses the Force. Anakin still pulls the trigger but shoots himself in the leg. Falls in the lava, burns, agonizing, screaming in pain. Anakin's like, kill me! Like screaming like that. Obi-Wan does it. And once again, kind of flashing back to the point in my episode 1, Obi-Wan's angry. He's furious at what Sidious did to Anakin. He wants to kill Sidious. And Yoda's there on Mustafar with Obi-Wan. And he says, and following your apprentice's path you will. Dishonor him in Qui-Gon you will. By taking your vengeance out on Sidious. If you truly want to honor, flashing back, honor him by trying to teach his son, by trying to teach his children. And now we get to Padme dying. Obi-Wan wants to save Padme because he feels that, you know, maybe Padme's all he's got left of Anakin. It's all he's got left of the Anakin he knew. You know, when Padme, there's something physically wrong. She's stressed. She's dying. There's some, they got, in this version, they got to operate quickly. Really quickly. Like, they got to do a C-section. Obi-Wan's like, wait, hey, there's a way we can save Padme too. Padme's like, fuck it. Like, she's like, get them out of here. Now. Do whatever you have to do. They cut Obi-Wan, Padme open. Get Luke and Leia out. Padme's weeping. She's screaming. She asks Obi-Wan, I'm going to die. Let my children be the last thing I see before I die. And the baby she would turn to is not Luke, Leia. She turns to Leia and looks at her. Leia has this cute baby look on her face, like she's at peace. Padme's smiling at how beautiful they are, but also saddened at what Anakin's become, and saddened that she's going to die. Then we get to the Darth Vader thing, where Anakin's flipping out. He's like, no, no. Like, he knows Padme's gone. He senses it. No. He's like, you know, they're doing the no, no, but whisper, but muttering it. And just screams like, and just the sparks were coming out of his mask. Everything around Anakin is getting destroyed because he's so furious. He's angry. He's disgusted. And then you would start to see the Anakin Skywalker is dead. Only Darth Vader lives. Vader doesn't give a shit. He's lost all his humanity. He doesn't care anymore. Like, fuck you. Like, you don't do what I ask. Vader looks at one of his men. And he says, kind of like the breathing in episode 6. Like saying like, bring me my sword, my saber. No, that's really demanding him to do something a little crazy, like, get me my old, like, say something crazy, like, bring me my flesh back. So the soldier looks at him like, Lord Vader? Chokes him. Just force chokes the hell out of him. Do what I say, or you will end up like him. Then, the end of the prequel trilogy. The legacy left by Darth Vader is a man brought into slavery who finds his purpose. But through the pain and suffering of the Clone Wars, he is broken. Jesus Christ, can I ramble about Star Wars or what? Anyway, I'm Darth Bryboy. Live long and prosper. I hope you enjoyed this video. And let's just hope the new sequel trilogy is a better trilogy than the prequels were. Take care.